making a basic trouser, the first thing you will do, mark 3 inches from this edge, go in by 3 inches, 3 inches, all the way down. Okay, then the next thing is from the upper part you come down by 3 inches as well. You'll notice that I'm starting from 1 inch rather. That's why we're having it the 3 inch on the 4 inch. So like so, 3 inch. So simply put, from the edge, from this place to this place, we have 3 inches all the way down. From here to here, we have 3 inches also, like this. And then the next thing is to measure the length of your trouser. And then the length we are working with is 39. Okay, we have length 39. So our waist starts from here, and every other measurement also starts from this line. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to measure 39. So because I don't want this part of the tape measure to show, that's why to be included, because it doesn't give a perfect measurement, except you remove this metal. So I don't want to remove the metal, so I'm starting from 1 inch. So, and we have 39 as the length of our trouser. That means since we have -1, we have to mark it on 40. Okay, so this is our measurement now. 39. We'll come to this other side, just to have a straight line there. We have 40 exact on this part. So we can now do what? We can now connect our lines like so. Okay, so we have the length secured. Now the next thing, note that we'll be drafting both the front and the back pattern on this paper. So the next thing we have to do now is to divide our hip by 4, right? 38 divided by 4. 38 divided by 2 will give us 19. 19 divided by 4, that's 9.5. So our hip divided by 4 will give us 9.5. Again, we're starting from 1, that's 10.5, just for 9.5, right? Okay, so from this end also, we mark the same 9.5. So that becomes like a square, a rectangle, square, right? 9.5, 9.5. And then we do what? We connect our lines. We connect our lines like so. And then from here also, we connect our lines, making sure we have 9.5. Let's be sure we have 9.5. Okay, that's correct. So we can now connect our lines. Right, so the first step is mark from this edge 3 inches inward, from up 3 inches downward, and then mark your hip divided by 4, which gives us 9.5, and that is what we have. 9.5 from here to here, 9.5 from here to here, then from here to here is also 9.5, from here to here is also 9.5. So that is like a square, right? Now the next thing, so your hip measurement, that's waist to hip. So waist to hip should be 7 inches. Work with your home measurement. So, and then since we are starting from 1 inch, our 7 inches is around here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's 8 instead of 7, but note that we are marking on 7. Okay, so we have 7, and then we can connect that as well. All right, so after that, the next thing we want to do is to mark our waist measurement. So the waist is 28. 28 divided by 2 will give us 14. 14 divided by 2 will give us 7. Now 7 plus 1 inch for that intake, so that's 8 inches. So again, we are starting from 1 inch, and then 8 inch will become 9 inches. So we have it this way. On this 8 inches, we go up by half of 1 inch rather, right, like this, right? And then the next thing we want to do is to divide this 8 inches by 2. 8 inches by 2. Definitely you should know that 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. Since we are starting from the 1 inch. Okay, and then from here we will mark a straight line. What we want to do is to get a straight line here. And how do we do that? You use this place to find any straight line you want to find. Right, so you can see I'm trying to set it to get a straight line. Okay, now we are good. And then the length of your dash should not be more than 5 to 5.5. So me, I'll be marking on 5, but remember I don't want this one included, so I'll put it on 6, then stop on 1 inch like this, and then I mark it up. Right, don't mind my ruler. It's not giving the shape this perfect straight line. Right, so the next thing is to open up our dart. Open up your dart by the 1 inch you added. So ½ inch on this side, ½ inch on this side, and then you want to do what? You connect your dart leg to the dart point like that. Okay, like that. Now the next thing we want to do is to connect this ½ inch to this dart leg like so. Connect it like so, and then we connect the waist to the hip, since we have our hip correctly mat here. So we just connect it like this. Right, now the next thing we want to do is to get our crotch extension for the front. And how do we do that? We divide our hip. So you divide your hip measurement by 20, divide by 20, and then the hip is 38, so 38 divided by 20 gives us 1.9. That's the line before you get to 2 inches. So I want to use this just to increase the crotch depth, the crotch for the front. So we said 1.9, and I'm starting from the one hinge. I'm not starting from the beginning of the step. So from one hinge we have this, that's the line before you have the 2. So this is 1.9 inch. Right, so we have our extension for the front crotch. And then the next thing we want to do is to come up to the weight to the hip line, and then we go out by 0.25 here, like this, 0.25. And then the next thing we want to do is to connect from here to here, and then blend it back in here. And how do you do that? So you can use your hip cuff like so. You try to come down and do the connection so that you have a perfect connection. You have to be very, very careful and come down when you're doing this. So you go this way, right, and then you blend it in back to the crotch line like this. You need to calm down when you're doing this part to get a perfect shape. And then we have our crotch marked out for the front. All right, now the next thing we want to do is to, I tell you, trouser making is very easy when you calm down. So the next thing we want to do is to get what we have here. So I'm starting from 1 inch, that means, and then we are on 12.5. That means what we have here is 11.5, because we need to minus this one that I'm starting from here. So that's 11.5, right? Yes. 11.5. And when we divide 11.5 into 2, that gives us 5.75, right? 5.75. So this is what we will do. When we are looking for 5.75, but I don't want to start from the beginning of the tape measurement. So I will use 6.75 like this. Then I mark on 1 like that. And then this is what we will mark all through. So you put it on 6.75, and then you mark on 1 till you get to the hem. Here you put it on 6.75, and then you mark on 1 inch, right? So we can now connect our line, 6.75, 1, and then we can now connect that line straight, and this becomes our crease line. This becomes our crease line, and it is important to have that line so that you'll be able to centralize all your measurements for the knee and for the ankle to give you a perfect pant at the end, right? So now we have that. Now the next thing we want to get is our nail line. You don't even need to measure this on your client or your. So to find the nail line, you simply take what you have here. Remember, we are starting from 1 inch, and then whatever we have here, we minus 1 from here. So let's say this is 30 and a half. When we divide 30 and a half minus 1 now, that's 29 and a half, right? Yes, so 29 and a half divided by 2.
That's 14.75.
Okay, so that's 14.75. And since we are starting from 1 inch, that means it will be 15.75. You put your point there. Then from that point, you go up, not to the hem, you go up like this by 1.5 inches, like this. And this becomes our knee measurement. Okay, so I just want to mark what I have here. That's what I'll mark there, 14.2. 14.2. I want to have a straight line there, so we simply connect our lines. All right, so the next thing is to put our knee measurement and the ankle measurement. So the knee measurement, round knee is 19 divided by 2 will give us 9.5. So 9.5 now we divide it again by 2. All right, so that's 4.75. Yes. So we have, so I will put it on 5.75, then I'll mark on 1 inch. The same thing I will do here, right? So we have our measurement. So because it's just a straight pant, whatever you have on the knee line, use it on the ankle. But if you want it to be pencil, measure your round ankle, and that is what you will put. So we said 4.75. We do the same thing here. What we have on the knee is what we are putting on the ankle, like so. And then we want to do what we want to connect our lines. First of all, from the ankle to the knee, like so. From the ankle to the knee, straight up like that. And then from the knee to the crotch. From the knee, you don't want this part to be so curvy. You don't want it to be curvy to be giving you a funny shape. So you connect it like this, right? And then the next thing is to connect here to here, and then blend it up. So I'll be using my straight ruler here to connect that, and then I can now blend in if there's any pointing which is not even obvious here. So you can use your cuff. Let me use this part so to cuff. There's not really pointed stuff here, but if there's any, you can just blend it in either with your cuff or your hand. And then we have our front pattern ready.